Doi Inthanon race has just been cancelled. Was postponed at the end of November when I was here for 4 weeks and training specifically on Doi Inthanon and Doi Pui, specifically in this climate and these conditions in order to run up Doi Inthanon 50 kilometers uphill. So it takes specific training, ideally in this climate, very hot and humid, and kind of on the specific gradients. That Thailand's a bit different because they lay tarmac wherever they can put tarmac. So you get these 25 to 30% gradients. You've got to get used to running up that. So came once, 4 weeks here in November, and then been here for another 3 weeks now, and now it's been cancelled. And they're not going to have it until at least next year. Might not happen again. The last time they had it was 2017 or 2018 when I won it and set the course record, and they haven't had it since. Probably because it's a tricky one, because it's an ultramarathon. It's a very difficult ultramarathon. It's 50 kilometers uphill, so it's going to test you in terms of the heat, the gradient, and the distance. So it's going to be difficult to get people involved in that race, and this is why it's kind of funny what's going on with UTMB and Ironman and the kind of like the criticism of it at the moment. Some races just don't survive, and here in Thailand, in order to run or in order to organize the Doi Inthanon race, you're going to need to close the roads, which means you need police involved, and then you're going to need ambulance or medics involved, and then you're going to probably need insurances just in case anything goes wrong. You're going to need to cover yourself, and so you need to kind of these races should be run as businesses, unless it's a big thing for a local running club or it's a big thing for a local brand, which essentially is sponsoring or investing in the race in order to kind of gain exposure, in order to have a return on their investment. Unless it's ran that way, it's just not sustainable. So there's criticism for Ironman, and I get that because there's part of me that is the purist when it comes to running. But it's difficult to organize a race, and it's difficult to keep a race going year after year after year. And it's more difficult in certain countries than others. In the UK, it's really easy. You can organize a race, and that's why Parkrun, the initiative of Parkrun, has been the greatest initiative ever in running, ever. You have a 5K run that's every Saturday at 9 a.m. So you can turn up and try to run as fast as you can, or take it easy, or join a running community. And that's created pockets of running communities that will then filter into the other clubs and will make more runners, keep people fitter, keep people away from obesity, all these great health reasons. And it's a positive thing for the community. If people are seeing that happening in the local park, they're more likely to, oh, what's that? It's something great going on, and it's inclusive. Very simple in terms of you sign up online, you get a barcode. There's no official timing. It doesn't matter whether the course is 4.9K or 5.1K. What matters is you're going to try to do your best and then try and improve over the weeks. You can go and do it as often as you want. And it's there, and it's free. And there's no need for police. There's no need for ambulances. There's no need for insurance. It's just you've signed a waiver and you're running in a park like you would do anyway if there wasn't a park run on. I tried to do exactly the same in Granada. And I remember it so well because the club that I joined in Granada was a running store. So a small running store called Bikila, after the famous runner. And they had 20 running stores all over Spain. And Granada, I don't know how big it was in terms of the other ones, but it was a community of about 150 runners when I joined. And some of them were really good, and they were kind of like, the store owner, still a friend, was an elite runner, had won some major races, really, really strong runner, and now a strong cyclist. And his vision was that he wanted to build an elite team that could then kind of compete in the European Cross. A lot of the running clubs, we had also a Limpo who were in Granada. That was another running store, and it created another group. Essentially what they're creating is a group of runners who will then become customers and will buy running apparel or running shoes. And so when you had that wave of e-commerce where, or kind of after the internet, and then people kind of go and they realize they're a size 10 in Nike, for instance, and so they'll just shop online and they'll get it for 20 or 40% discount online and get it sent to their house, probably next day delivery now, or same day delivery if you're in Dubai. That quickly got rid of a lot of running stores. And so it was a shaky model to build your club system on. There are clubs in Spain like Nerja, which is about 800, 900 members, which is a great running club, strong in track and field, and some great distance runners as well. And I think that's the second biggest club in Spain outside Madrid. Anyway, when I tried to set up a free park run, the idea was to gain more club runners. So if you get more people running, then you're going to find some local young talent. You're going to get some talented runners who will then join the team and will join the elite team and at different levels. And the conundrum I tried to explain was if we create this free race and it's every Saturday, consistently every Saturday at 9 o'clock, we will then create a bunch of customers And then also sponsors will be interested. Like Lucozade was interested in the UK and in different parts. And then it's kind of like your local running shop will be interested. And there's a return on investment because you're bringing the customers. Couldn't get that across. And what it would have taken, and I tried to arrange 3 different types of events. This was one of them. It would have taken every single week 400 euros in police costs. Just crazy. 400 euros to the ambulance, because you need to have an ambulance there. These are Spanish rules, just like swamped in bureaucracy and red tape. And then 200 euros for insurances. And so it would cost you 1,000 euros a week to organize a free race, a free 5K, which would be improving. The numbers would improve very, very quickly as the model is already proven. The numbers would increase, and that would increase running to the clubs in Tequila and Olimpo and the different clubs in Granada, and you would have more runners, and then you'd have more people getting fit, and less people in the hospitals, etc., but couldn't get it across. And so the red tape eventually choked me, and I just thought, do you know what, it's lower hanging fruit. Whereas in the UK, that's flourished, and as I said, it must be in over near to 1,000 parks in the UK. It's about 700, I think, 700 parks in the UK, and then 300 elsewhere in the world. We didn't manage to do it in Granada, and it's a big shame because the demand was there. There's lots of runners that wanted that kind of thing. So I guess kind of this race being postponed and then cancelled is also a sign of the COVID times. It's become a lot easier now for race directors to cancel or to just kind of cut the losses. They organize something, they have an idea, there's a lot of enthusiasm initially when you have an idea. They want to make it into a reality, and then all of a sudden they realize over time, maybe the enthusiasm dwanes, and then over time they realize that actually the number's not adding up. The number of entries is not matching the output, and I've got to pay the police, I've got to pay for the ambulance, I've got to pay for the insurances, I've got to probably pay other things in Thailand, then you've got to pay the prize money, etc., which you've already advertised to get people interested at the sharp end. So I guess after COVID, it's become easier for those people to cut the losses. Whereas if I was organizing a race and I said, okay, it's going to be this date at this time, then I'll pay for the police, pay for the ambulance, pay for the insurances. If that's the cost, okay, how do we factor that into, and then how do we promote the race in order to get the people? Not saying it's easy, but you've got to run it as a business because it has to be sustainable over long periods of time. If you've not got the sponsors, and it's a chicken and egg game, usually sponsors will want the runners and then they will sponsor the race, whereas obviously you want the money, you want the sponsors first, and then you can bring the participants, and that kind of helps. So when you've kind of got all this criticism of UTMB and what they're doing with Ironman, part of me knows that it's inevitable. There's definitely some stuff that, I don't want to comment on it because it's just drama, and I want to stay away from drama as much as possible, despite being on YouTube. But yeah, bottom line, it's frustrating, but it's part of life, and it's not the end of the world. And moving forward, in terms of Doi Inthanon race, it's a brilliant mountain, so I'll probably run up it again. I've run up it before on a non-race day to see if I can run the time or to try and get the KOM. And there's lots of other races that are specifically uphill, which, whilst I've been training very specifically recently, that's going to be really useful for. So there we go. Just a bit of an update from my side. If you're training for something right now, or if you've had it happen to you before, that you've been training towards something very kind of, you put all your energy into something and then it gets cancelled or postponed, I'm sure you've had it happen to you over the COVID years. Let me know in the comments and let me know how you dealt with it and how you moved on with it. Because I think it's easy to get down about these things, but in actual fact, as I said, there are worse things happening in the world right now that we need to be more concerned about than a running race.